He smiled at you before he ever needed anything from you. Remember that, because the day he finally needs something, that same smile will still be there. Except now, it's a weapon, not a greeting. Machiavelli spent his life inside palaces, where kindness was currency and betrayal wore perfume. He watched princes fall, not because their enemies were strong, but because they trusted the wrong face at the wrong table. And what he learned then is still true now. In your office, in your family, in your bed. Trust is not given. It is earned in silence, tested in crisis, and broken in an instant by people who never once raised their voice. Most people think betrayal announces itself. It doesn't. It arrives disguised as loyalty, dressed in compliments, wrapped in favors you never asked for. The most dangerous people in your life are rarely the ones who shout at you. They are the ones who agree with everything you say, who never challenge you, who make you feel comfortable, right up until the moment comfort becomes a cage. Machiavelli understood something brutal about human nature. People do not reveal themselves through what they promise. They reveal themselves through patterns, and there are 6 patterns, 6 quiet signals that expose a person long before they ever betray you. Learn them now, because ignorance here does not just cost you money or time. It costs you years of your life rebuilding what trust in the wrong person destroyed. The first sign is a person who changes their story depending on who is listening. Watch closely. Some people tell you one truth in private and a different truth in public. They agree with you when you're alone, then nod along with your enemy when the room changes. This is not adaptability. This is the architecture of betrayal. A person who bends the truth to please whoever stands in front of them has no truth of their own, only convenience. And convenience, when it meets a better offer, will abandon you without hesitation. Machiavelli knew that a man without a fixed self is the most dangerous ally, because you can never predict which version of him will show up when it matters most. The second sign is subtle, and it hides inside praise. Beware the person who compliments you constantly, but never actually supports you when it counts. Words are cheap when they cost nothing. True loyalty is proven in absence, in what someone does when you are not in the room, when your name comes up, and there is nothing to gain from defending you. If someone showers you with flattery but vanishes the moment you need backing, that flattery was never about you. It was a tool, a soft manipulation to keep you close, comfortable, and unaware. Machiavelli warned that appearances seduce the many, but only actions reveal the few who are real. The third sign is a person who cannot celebrate you without something twisting behind their eyes. Watch how someone reacts to your success, not your struggle. Anyone can comfort you when you're broken. It costs them nothing, and it even makes them feel superior. But when you rise, when you win, when life finally turns in your favor, that is when masks slip. Jealousy disguised as concern. Congratulations that feel colder than silence. A subtle joke that cuts just enough to remind you they still see themselves above you. This is the moment truth escapes containment. Machiavelli believed envy was one of the most stable forces in human behavior, because unlike anger, it does not fade. It waits patiently for the right moment to surface as sabotage. The fourth sign is more dangerous because it feels like intimacy. Some people collect your secrets not to understand you, but to hold power over you. They ask personal questions early, push for vulnerability before trust has been built, and store away what you reveal like ammunition for later. Real closeness grows slowly, through shared experience, not extraction. If someone seems more interested in what you're insecure about than who you actually are, that is not connection, that is reconnaissance. And one day when the relationship shifts, when conflict arrives, everything you confided will not be met with empathy. It will be repeated back to you, twisted, as a weapon aimed exactly where you are weakest. The fifth sign is silence, the wrong kind of silence, not the silence of respect, but the silence of a person who watches you make a mistake and says nothing, waiting to benefit from your fall. Machiavelli lived surrounded by men who let others walk into disaster because their downfall meant an opening for someone else. If a person has information that could protect you and chooses not to share it because your struggle serves their advantage, they have already betrayed you. They are simply waiting for the timing to make it obvious. The most dangerous enemies rarely attack. They allow you to destroy yourself while pretending to be a bystander. And the sixth sign, the one people overlook the most, is a person who needs you to remain smaller than them in order to feel comfortable around you. Pay attention to how people respond when you grow, when you improve, when you start setting boundaries you never had before. A person who truly respects you will adjust and grow alongside you. But someone who only valued the version of you that was easy to control will resist your evolution. They will call your growth arrogance. They will call your boundaries coldness. They will try, subtly or aggressively, to pull you back into the shape that made you convenient for them. This is not love. This is dependency disguised as relationship, and Machiavelli would call it exactly what it is: a strategy for control, wearing the mask of affection. Now here is the deeper truth beneath all 6 signs, the one most people never see until it's too late. Betrayal is rarely a single event. It is a slow erosion built from dozens of small warnings you chose to ignore because acknowledging them felt more painful than the eventual collapse. You saw the changing stories and called it flexibility. You saw the empty flattery and called it kindness. You saw the jealousy and called it a bad day. You saw the extraction of your secrets and called it closeness. You saw the convenient silence and called it none of their business. You saw the resistance to your growth and called it concern. Every single time you translated a red flag into a reasonable explanation because trusting people is easier than watching them clearly. But Machiavelli did not write to make you cynical. He wrote to make you awake. There is a difference between distrust and discernment. Distrust closes you off from everyone, poisons every relationship with suspicion, and leaves you alone in a fortress of fear. Discernment is different. Discernment lets you stay open, generous, even loving, while still watching patterns instead of promises. The world does not punish people who trust. It punishes people who trust blindly, who mistake charm for character, who confuse comfort with safety. So the next time someone shows you one of these 6 signs, do not panic and do not confront them immediately. Simply observe. Watch if the pattern repeats. One flattering comment is not manipulation. One moment of envy is not sabotage. But repetition is the language of truth. People will tell you exactly who they are through their patterns. You only need the discipline to watch instead of hope. Machiavelli understood something most people spend their whole lives refusing to accept: that human nature does not change based on how much you want someone to be different. It only reveals itself over time to those patient enough to notice. This is not a call to trust no one. It is a call to trust wisely, to protect your peace the way you would protect anything valuable, with awareness, not naivety. The people who hurt you the most in life were rarely strangers. They were the ones you let close because they seemed safe, because they said the right things, because you wanted so badly to believe them. And maybe the hardest lesson buried in Machiavelli's cold, brutal wisdom is this: the enemy who wears a mask does more damage than the enemy who shows his blade, because you never see the wound coming until you're already bleeding. So watch closely. Watch the ones who shift with the crowd. Watch the ones who flatter but never defend. Watch the ones who shrink at your success. Watch the ones who collect your secrets like weapons. Watch the ones who stay silent when honesty could save you. And watch the ones who fear your growth more than they fear losing you. Because in the end, character is not what people say when they want something from you. Character is what they do when they think no one is watching. And if you learn to see that clearly, no mask will ever fool you again.